I'm Patrick Paolantonio. Right now on Up Front, President Biden's arrival in Wisconsin just hours away, some 2 months until the midterms. Will Wisconsin Democrats stand alongside him? Democratic Party Chairman Ben Wickler is standing by. Bend County officials statewide tackling issues of diversity. The board chairwoman leading the effort is here. Her new insight and new push to work with state lawmakers. And a crisis in policing, a shortage of officers statewide, but one city rejecting paying more to hire new officers. In just minutes, we're asking why.
Taking on the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Up Front.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Patrick Paolantonio. Final preparations are underway at this hour for President Joe Biden's scheduled stop in Milwaukee tomorrow. The president is expected to speak at Labor Fest just 65 days until Election Day, and Governor Tony Evers says he'll be there. A recent CNN report suggested aides to the governor urged the White House to cancel a planned trip to Wisconsin in July so President Biden and Governor Evers could avoid being together. Biden's latest approval rating in Wisconsin is at 40%, 7 points lower than Evers. That's according to the Marquette Law School poll. The governor recently dismissing that initial CNN report.
Yes, President Biden and Kamala Harris are both, I'd welcome them to the state, especially to talk about things that impact the people of Wisconsin.
So you don't know if your aides told the Biden administration not to come to be seen with you?
Not to my knowledge, and I've asked around.
And you weren't part of those conversations?
Absolutely not. It wasn't me. And it wasn't the leader, it wasn't my chief of staff, and it wasn't my head of my campaign. So I don't know if it was anybody. That's the bottom line.
Meantime, Democratic U.S. Senate candidate Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes refusing to answer questions about the president's visit this past week.
You got anything to say about the comment on the president's upcoming visit?
What is about student loan forgiveness?
His campaign said Barnes would participate in Labor Fest, but did not say whether he would appear alongside the president. Ben Wickler is chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. He joins us from Madison. Welcome back to the show, Ben.
It's great to be with you, Patrick.
Well, let's start with the president's visit. Are we going to see both the governor and lieutenant governor on stage with President Biden Monday?
I know that the president, our governor, Mandela Barnes, are all going to be at Labor Fest. Labor Fest is actually in 3 cities. I think the lieutenant governor is going to try to travel to all 3. Not sure exactly the timing of who's going to be where when, but what I know is everybody is going to be standing with Wisconsin workers and working people for jobs, for a great economy. And that sends a very strong message about a party that's united around the rights of working people to organize and stand up for family supporting jobs all over our state, in contrast to people like Ron Johnson, who support outsourcing and Republican attacks year over year on unions that build the middle class in our state.
Would you like to see the governor and lieutenant governor on stage with the president?
I'm thrilled that President Biden is prioritizing Wisconsin, that he is going to be here and he'll be making his strong case. And I know that the governor, lieutenant governor, and we're all thrilled that President Biden will be laying out for Wisconsinites how our party, how Democrats are standing up for working people. This is really a state that has celebrated. It's one of the places with the deepest history of unions, of pro-worker policies that have been under attack by Republican politicians who don't get that it's actually workers who build our economy. So what I'm really excited about is just having that message ring loud and clear, and how folks are going to hear about things like the infrastructure bill, about the Inflation Reduction Act, about these policies Democrats have passed that Republicans voted against that will build jobs and make our state stronger.
So will it be a day of decision if they're actually all on stage together?
The logistics of this kind of visit are always wildly complicated and up in the air until the last second. So we'll see how the jigsaw puzzle pieces come together. But I know what you'll hear from every Democrat is the same core message, which is that Democrats believe in working families and build pro-job, pro-worker policies and fight back against the decades of Republican policies, including in our states, that have sold out working people and shipped jobs overseas instead of building things right here in America.
As we heard, the governor has a higher approval rating than the president. Nationally, we've seen stories of some candidates being hesitant to appear with the president. Is there a risk for the governor to stand with the president, given how close this race is right now?
You know, what we've seen everywhere is that when the president comes to town and people hear directly from President Biden about the ways that he and other Democrats have fought for working people, when people hear the message directly from the most pro-union, pro-worker, pro-job president of my lifetime, the president's approval ratings rise and people are energized. Frankly, Republicans can't hold a candle to the Democrats' record on job creation. If you look at the president since 1989, the net gain in jobs under Republicans is 3 million jobs. Under Democrats, it's 46 million jobs. We're building hundreds of thousands more jobs in the United States of America every month. So this is a president whose presence really amplifies the strength of Democrats all over the state. That's why we're so excited to have him here in Wisconsin.
The president gave a speech Thursday night. He called for unity while also saying former President Trump and his allies are a threat to the country. The RNC is calling President Biden divisive. You're trying to get candidates elected in a purple state. Will that speech help or hurt your effort?
President Biden, like Governor Evers and Mandela Barnes, these are all leaders who unite Democrats. And frankly, the Republican Party is totally divided. It's divided between some kind of more traditional Republicans who have policy disagreements with Democrats and this extremist kind of ultra MAGA fringe that includes people like Tim Michels and Ron Johnson who want to rig the rules to lock in permanent Republican control, overturn the will of the voters, and throw elections to Donald Trump. And on issues like jobs, what you see with Ron Johnson is over and over voting to send jobs overseas, refusing to lift a finger to bring 1,000 strong family supporting union jobs to his hometown of Oshkosh, and saying it's not as though we don't have enough jobs in Wisconsin. He wants to put Social Security and Medicare on the congressional chopping block. None of these make any sense to Wisconsinites. We want people who bring folks together. That's what you get from Governor Evers and Lieutenant Governor Barnes.
Well, among Wisconsin voters, who does the president's message appeal to in this election cycle?
If you think back to 2020, President Biden brought voters together. He did better in rural areas than than Democrats had in the past. He swung voters in the suburbs, and he turned out voters in our cities. This is a president who really can energize and excite people, and it makes a big difference to hear directly from him. So that's why we're so excited that he's going to be in the state on Labor Day at LaborFest in Milwaukee, and that's why we're so confident as we head into this fall.
In the governor's race, the Marquette poll shows Governor Evers with a 2-point lead over Tim Michels. The governor lost some ground from the June poll. Michels gained ground. What are your internal polls showing? How close is the governor's race and the U.S. Senate race?
The polling that we're seeing has the governor a little bit ahead, but we're treating this as a tied race. We also see a lead for Mandela Barnes over Ron Johnson, but we're treating that race as tied as well. What I want every voter to know is that their ballot could actually determine the outcome in the governor's race and in the Senate race. And if they recruit friends, if they recruit other folks to go knock on doors, if they send some text messages, do everything they can to get out the vote, we can protect democracy and the future for working people in our state from a kind of ultra-Trumpist extremism that we know is profoundly dangerous for Wisconsin. In the Senate race, an extra few votes for Mandela Barnes could help ensure that Mitch McConnell doesn't become the Republican majority leader again. We also know that if we have just a few more votes in the Senate, and if Democrats hold the House, we're going to be able to make progress on things like codifying Roe versus Wade into law and protecting reproductive freedom. So we should think of these races classically for Wisconsin as tiny, tiny margins of victory. The slightest thing could actually tip the balance one way or the other, and it will take every ounce of every person's work to ensure that democracy and success for working people in Wisconsin will thrive in the next 4 and 6 years.
Everywhere you look, you see and hear ads, and we still have several weeks to go. When it's all said and done, what's your estimate on how much money will be spent statewide on these races?
It's going to be a ludicrous amount of money. So there's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars by the end of this election cycle. Ultimately, all of that money doesn't matter. What matters is people actually voting. And what special interests are trying to do is confuse people about what's actually at stake.
Ben Wickler, chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Coming up, county officials from across the state tackling diversity. The Milwaukee County Board chairwoman standing by the meetings and her push to get more money from Republicans in Madison.